This is Neil Caden. I'm the Sakai Community Coordinator, and I'm going to attempt to show you how to do a pull request in Sakai. I don't do these very often, but I know there's some interest in, whoops, sorry about that. The screen's flying all over the place. I know there's some interest in from some folks in the community who aren't comfortable or familiar with doing pull requests, and so I thought maybe if I went through it and succeeded, that would be a source of information and inspiration that would help you. I did do a little bit of research on it, and I have used Git a little bit, mostly to run Sakai locally for QA purposes. So let me go over a few things. And first thing I want to mention is licensing. If you're going to commit to put a pull request in to Sakai, we would appreciate and require a what's called an ICLA, which is an individual contributor license. And then I would recommend you go to www.apereo.org/licensing. It tells you all about our licensing process. And it also has a link to an individual contributor license agreement, which is totally online. So you can do your signature and everything online and submit it online. Very, very easy process. And if you are doing work on behalf of your employer, then please have them submit what's called a CCLA, which is a corporate contributor license agreement. So please check that out. If you're not sure if you've already got one or not, or if your institution has one or not, you can go to licensing.apereo.org, and this is a dynamic list of everyone who has an ICLA on file and every institution that has a corporate contributor license on file. So you can quickly look up and see if you've got one already or if you need one. All right. So let's see. So what you're going to need before you start doing the pull request is you're going to need to install GitHub. You're going to need to have a GitHub account. So make sure to go to github.com and get an account on GitHub. And you're also going to need to either on your Mac or your Linux box, like Ubuntu or something like that, or I suppose you could do it on your PC too. I am using a PC right now. However, I have a virtual machine with Ubuntu on it, and that's what I'm going to use for doing my pull request. And I found, if you Google, there's a lot of great documentation. I found this one, Don't Be Afraid to Commit, readthedocs.io, and I actually went through this process to commit to this project just to get the experience of doing a pull request. And on this, it shows you it gives you pointers on installing Git, one for Ubuntu users and one for Mac users. This is an example, and they also reference git-sem.com, which is a great resource of information about getting started installing Git. And really, when you're configuring Git for the first time, it gives you the two major things that you need to do, which is set your user email and your username. You also will need to log into, be able to, when you push your change up to your repository, you'll need to either use your password for Git, GitHub, or you will need to use an SSH key, or you'll need to use, what do I use? I'm going to probably switch to SSH key, public key. What I currently do is I use an access token, which is not a terrible way to do it either. So you have several different ways you can set up how you're going to connect, because when you're doing your code, you're going to want to push it up, and of course Git is going to require, when you pull information down from Git, you don't need a password, but when you push it back, you do. You need some sort of authentication. So this is pretty good documentation, so you might want to check this out. Don't be afraid to commit readthedocs.io, and you can play with that and if you want. So good stuff there. There's also really good documentation on our Confluence site. So if you go to Confluence at sakaiproject.org, under the Sakai Dev area, there's a Get Setup page. And this is really, really good. And I'm going to kind of just go over this a little bit and then do the actual process. So it says make sure you have a Git set up and a GitHub account, which is just what I was saying, and have your name and email property set. And that's also on that other example page I was just showing you. Fork the central Sakai repository to your own GitHub account. So that's really critical. You want your own copy, so you're forking it on GitHub, and I've already done that. Let me show you how that's done. It's really, really easy. So when you find the Sakai project, which is github.com/Sakai project/Sakai, you simply click on fork. In my case, I'm a member of a few different organizations, but I've already got a fork. So it recognizes I've already got a fork. But for you, it'll give you the option to create a fork. And here's my fork. And then my fork is github.com/nkaden/Sakai. All right, so you'll have github.com/your user ID, your GitHub user ID/Sakai, and that'll be your fork. All right. Sync Sakai master with your local forks to receive updates. Never work on your local master. So that's a really good tip there. So what we're going to be doing is creating a branch and then working on the branch. And then pushing and then creating a pull request from the branch. And then after you've done that and after it's been accepted and merged, you can actually delete your branch. You don't have to keep it around. But that's a good process. Let's see what else. So like really good documentation here. Oh yeah, so when the first time that you're setting up Git, you're going to want to clone. Does it say that? Here, clone your fork onto your computer. That's really easy. There's a git clone command. I'll show you how to do that. I've already got mine cloned on my my VM, so I don't actually need to do it, but I can show you the command. Very, very simple. And after you've cloned your fork, so it's now you've cloned your fork. Then what you want to do is sync your master with the upstream. You want to be able to sync your Sakai master with the upstream master, and that's what this command does. Git remote add upstream to the original Sakai project, and that'll let you git pull upstream master, and that'll let you keep your master version on your VM or on your Mac or on your Unix box or on your PC. It'll let you keep that synced, and you really need to be aware of what branch you're in. So you want to make sure that you check out master, git checkout master, and make sure you're there before you do that. Pull that upstream. And then what you'll do when you want it ready to push to your branch is git push origin master, although it's going to be slightly different when you're pushing a particular branch, which you'll see just a little down here. So when you start working on a branch, you're going to check out, -v will create a new branch, and you want to name the branch the name of the Jira ID. So that's a convention we have in the Sakai community. Works really, really well. Also, when you're committing, the first word of your comment and your commit should be the Jira ID as well, and that'll help sync up Git with Jira, and your commit will automatically show up in Jira when it's merged. And then when you're pushing, you'll push to the your branch. Git push origin. Origin is your fork, and then you're pushing your branch up to that fork. See, it creates a new branch onto your fork. And then when you're ready to commit to trunk, you go through doing your commit parts, which I'll show, and then I think, and this is the part you'll want to push into your repo, and then from your repo you want to create the pull request into master, which we'll do from the GitHub GUI. So I'll show you how to do that from the GUI after we get all those pieces done. So those are all the pieces. All right, let's see how long that took me to do. I don't know. I don't have a little timer here anywhere. Where's there? Okay. Well, if this doesn't work, then I can always edit this down. But now I'm going to get started. So I mentioned I'm working on a Windows box here. I've got a VM up. There's the one I used, that afraid to commit practice, and that worked for me. So I have a little more confidence in what I'm doing. I've already got a Sakai directory where I have, I've already got my fork, as you saw, right, on GitHub. So here's my fork. And then to clone my fork, I've already done that. And the way you do that is you can just, if I go up one directory, it's going to create a directory for me, a Sakai directory for me. So all I did was git clone, and then you want to clone your fork. So I'd copy this and I would do that, and it would create my Sakai directory and check it out, that branch. But since I've already done that, what I have to worry about now is that making sure that I've got the very latest version of Sakai from upstream, from the original. And if you recall from this git setup here, that's where this git remote adds upstream. I've already done that command, so that would be the other thing you would do after you do the clone, is you'd cd into the directory, cd Sakai into your directory, then do git remote add upstream, which I've already done. So now what I'm going to do is git pull upstream master to make sure I got the latest. Git pull upstream master. And there it's getting me all up to date. There are all the changes it's made. So now I'm up to date. Now what I want to do is I want to push that to my fork. So that I've pulled down to this clone. So now my clone has the latest from from latest changes to Sakai, but now I want to push it to my fork. So and that's also here, git push origin master. And this is where you'll need to log in. So if you give it your public key, then you won't have to go through this process. Otherwise, you'll need to use your password, or if you set up in my case, so I'm going to pause right now so I can go get my my key or whatever it is. So hold on a second. So in my case, I used a GitHub token, not an SSH key, and not my GitHub password. I set up a token. So I logged in with my token, and then you can see it compressed the objects and it pushed them up to github.com/ncaden/sakai.git. So now all that stuff is in sync. Now what I want to do is create a branch for the Jira that I'm working on. And the Jira that I'm working on is a really simple one. It's this one here, SAK 33447. And what's really simple about this is it's just updating some instructions for the syllabus tool. So it's an accessibility issue in the syllabus tool, and it's already got the what text I need to change, and it tells me exactly where I need to do this at. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do now that I know it's SAK 33447 is I'm going to create a branch. So again, the Jira ID is going to come into play in two places. One is when you create the branch using the Jira ID is a really great convention that we use in the community. And the second is when we commit the change and we have a message, the first word in the message needs to be the Jira ID so that my pull request will show up automatically on the Jira. Okay, so really, really important to use the Jira ID. So just reminding myself how you do this. Okay. All right. So again, I'm in the directory here, so I'm going to git checkout. -B. So when I'm checking out, it's saying create a new branch. Otherwise, after checkout, I do like checkout master or checkout 11.x, and it would check out that particular branch. But I'm creating a new branch, so I use the -B. And let's see if I, whoops, successfully copied the JIRA ID there. No, I didn't get it, but I can see it back there, so I'm just going to do SAK 33447. My copy paste didn't work, but revert back. So now I'm switched to the new branch. That's the branch I'm working on. Okay. Cool. So the next thing I need to do is make my changes. Really simple. So first of all, let me go back to here. And I'm very lucky because Sean has contributed exactly what file I need to go into. So get that directory path, and then I'll do messages.properties. Why is my copy paste not working? That's so weird. Control C. And then I have to, whoops, there, I did it twice by accident that time. Or 2 or 3 times. Let's see, it should be CD syllabus app, source, bundle, org, Sakai project, tool, syllabus, bundle. Let me take a look in there, and I'm looking for messages.properties. We'll also want to let people know. I'll make this an internationalization issue as well, so that, or localization issue, so that folks will know they need to do the translation, change the translation as well. So that's important. All these property files are different translations, like into French, Canadian French, French from France, things like that. And messages.properties. Is there one that just says messages.properties? There is. So there's a messages.properties, which I guess is the default. Okay. Let me go back here and see what I'm looking for. I'm looking for to delete the redirect, clear the URL field, and click save. Or clear the URL field and save. To delete the redirect. So let me find that. I bet if I search for redirect, I'll find it pretty easily. I'm just using a VI editor. Whoops. To delete the redirect, clear the URL field and save. So here's I'm changing line number 62. Okay. So I should just be able to copy this text directly. And hopefully my copy paste will work. So I Control C, come back in. Oh, it looks like I got it. Just to be safe, first I'm going to save that. And just to be safe, let me make sure that that type of message doesn't exist somewhere else. And the message to delete the redirect. But it makes sense. Redirect delete would be about deleting the redirect, right? So And then it loops back up to line 182. So I think I'm good. So I think this is it. All right. So now I can go back to, so I can do something called get status. Just to make it easier, I'll go back to the root, and I'll do get status. And get status says on branch SAK 33447, changes not staged for commit, right? So I have to stage my commit. And it says untracked files, and then it recognizes, it's hard to read there. Oh, it says modified, right? So it has an untracked file, but I'm not really worried about that. And it has modified that first line up here, modified. I know it's really hard to read. I need to figure out how to change my colors here. But that's the file I just did. So this is the full path to the messages.properties file. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add that file in. Now when I do get status, now it shows that color's a little easier to read. Now it shows branch SAK 33447 changes to be committed. So now it's not committed yet, but it is staged. And it's not staging the file, it's staging the change, meaning that if I realized I want to make additional changes to this file and I go in, the additional changes are not going to be staged. Only this one change is going to be staged until I do something else. In this case, that's all I need to do, but let's say you decided you needed to go back and do more changes in that file, then you'd have to git add again that file so it picks up the latest changes, and then there's ways of kind of squashing, I guess. Let's see, when you're ready to commit, there's a little bit more if you're doing, let's see, when you're ready to commit to trunk, create a pull request from your repo. So I'm just going to keep the simple case, and there's instructions here, and there's also a great dev community if you have questions about more complex commits, but let's just stick to the scope. So now I've got this ready to commit. My next step is to commit it. And the way I do that, is I need to push this branch up to my fork. So, just to show you the magic here, I'm in my fork. I can look at all the branches. The only branch I've got in my fork is master at the current. And let me go back here. So what I should be able to do is git push force. I'm not sure why I need the force, but I do know I need to push it to my origin. And then I want to push this branch. Now, do I need to commit? Oh, you know what? I don't think I've committed yet. So maybe I need to commit first. I bet you I do. Let me, it would make sense I'd have to commit first. Yeah, make your changes, then commit. So over here, it's not really showing you what that looks like, the commit. On the other one, it did have that commit. So they're just showing the steps I just did on this the Don't Be Afraid to Commit doc. And then staging your changes, which I've done. And then doing get status, which I've done. And mentioning what gets staged. So all I have to do is git commit minus M. That's the next step before I push the branch up. So that makes sense, right? I don't want to push the branch up before I've committed the change because that wouldn't make any sense at all. So git commit minus M. And this is again where our message, our commit message needs to start with SAK, the Jira ID. As a good convention, I think it's the easiest thing, so you don't have to think about it, is just use the Jira summary. So I'm going to use that. All right, one file changed. And it's now committed. Now is when I want to push up the branch, now that I've made my commit. Okay. And there it is actually, git push origin. I think that's the normal thing. Make your changes, then push your branch up. Okay. I think the one below it with the force maybe had something to do with rebasing and multiple commits and stuff like that. So we're going to keep to the simple case for now. Git push origin. So I'm pushing to my origin, my fork, this branch. Now I'm going to pause again as I use my password. So after I put in my GitHub ID and password, it seemed to successfully work, and it went to github.com/ncaden/sakai.git. So that's my fork and its new branch. So it seems to have created a new branch there. And we'll go back to GitHub and we should see a new branch. And look, there's a new branch. And look. Okay, well, I would expect it to show up here too. Maybe it needs some time to refresh on that. But it also says compare and do a pull request. So it's ready to do a pull request. That is really awesome. So let me go ahead and do that. So it automatically put the right commit comment on. It's comparing it against Sakai project/Sakai base master and against my branch. So I want to do my pull request from the branch that I've made, not from my master. And now there actually is a step that I'm missing, which I'll mention in just a second. It just occurred to me. But I'm going to go ahead and create the pull request. And maybe that's not the best commit message in history. Hopefully the core team will be forgiving. And so now if we go to, it went directly to Sakai project/Sakai, and there's my pull request 5062. So I think I've done it. I've succeeded in doing a pull request. And if I look at the list of pull requests, there it is. And if I go here, I can see the commits, and I can see the files changed, and it shows what's been removed and what's been added, and that's it. So we've done the commit. And as I mentioned, when I go back to my fork, oops, we're pretty much done, but I do want to mention one or two more things. So I'm going to go back to my fork. And there's the branch. So there's master and there's my branch. And then again, after this pull request has been accepted and merged, then I can feel free to go ahead and delete my branch. So I don't have to keep these branches around forever. The thing that I was going to say is missing, and I'll probably stop this recording because it covered the scope, but I think one of the things you want to do before doing that pull request, and so probably before going through this whole process of, you probably want to commit first, but before you push the branch up to your origin and then do the pull request part, you should compile, right? In this case, I'm just making a text change, so it shouldn't have any problems at all compiling, but ideally what you would do is you'd compile Sakai and then you would test locally. But that, again, is beyond the scope of this. Plus, if you've already done that locally and you're just trying to figure out how to do a pull request, hopefully this helps. So it looked like we've got success, and I hope this is helpful. I'm going to stop recording now.